And the Oscar goes to
Parasite!
What is a parasite?
Good question, little kitty. Hey friends, I'm sure you must have heard the term parasite a lot of times. So, in today's episode, let us explore the parasitic world of these strange creatures and try to answer, how do the parasites impact the animals and humans? Zoom in! So, what is a parasite? A parasite is an organism or living thing that lives on or inside another living thing's body, called the host, for food and other things that it needs to survive and thrive. Although parasites are small, and most of them are even invisible to the naked eye, they have the ability to manipulate, harm, and sometimes even kill the victims that are many times larger than them. These parasites are further divided into several main species that can affect animals and plants.
Knowing that parasites operate covertly through deceptions and manipulations of the body and mind in this physical world, while probably not breaking any universal laws, this video is actually about current events, which I call the coronal exodus, the disconnection of the biological human with the Earth's torus field and Xboxing its soul's energy. We live in a world where our soul's energy is being used to energize the parasite's energy field, even if we think we're having the time of our life on the dance floor. So after thousands of years of infection by the Saturn parasite, its manipulating powers have squeezed and hurt, alternated and penetrated the human's heart torus field. Through a history of deception using war, religion, hate, racism, and many more unloving and harmful projections that can manifest in the body. Introducing new force fields that have collapsed and destroyed many parts of the world, traumatized whole generations and inflicted damage to our DNA, the parasites have not succeeded in completely breaking the human's heart. Let's say we are all representing a piece of the Earth's genetic creator code and the full access to its biofield, the torus. To gain full control over the torus field, the parasite will need to map, infect, modify, and control every piece of the puzzle. It needs to control all of our DNA to break the heart's torus field code. Probably only then it can fully integrate its own field upon our world. I assume it does not want to kill all of us, as we have seen on the Georgia Guidestones. The parasite shows it needs 500 million of us to keep their mainframe energized. And they even don't need us here physically. They could upload us into a cloud, as long as our soul's creator energy is disconnected from Earth and keeps fueling their false energy field, the Matrix. So, how are they gonna map our DNA? With every second, many new souls are born within a new genetic code into a physical body. A lot of effort is put into creating a DNA databank all around the Earth to track and crack, but this concept runs into a lot of obstacles and resistance, which will make it hard to realize in time. DNA is a strain of molecules made up out of billions of nucleic acids, or called genes, are creating a code within a cycle of 24 hours, the natural biocycle of our crater Earth. So DNA is a changing cycle. With every cycle it adds new information to the strain. It also contains many unknown nucleic acids, which are called junk DNA. Probably it is the genetic code that has already been processed through previous cycles of older generations. With this concept in mind, I think that mapping DNA needs many upgrades and periodic cycles to perform efficiency. The PCR test seems a very lucrative toy for that job. In fact, when taking a test, you actually feel willing giving away your latest update of your DNA. So let's say there is a technology to map DNA within 24 hours. Would you have enough time to put any kind of technology inside someone's bloodstream?
Status.
To make a digital handshake with a cell or its DNA? What if only certain parts and criteria are enough within a time lapse of a few weeks or months? A possible vaccine then would have to be custom made for a certain person to inject this technology. Can this be done for real?
CRISPR is the fastest, easiest, and cheapest of the gene editing tools responsible for this new wave of science. But where did this medical marvel come from? How does it work? And what can it do? Surprisingly, CRISPR is actually a natural process that's long functioned as a bacterial immune system. Originally found defending single-cell bacteria and archaea against invading viruses, naturally occurring CRISPR uses two main components. The first are short snippets of repetitive DNA sequences called clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, or simply CRISPRs. The second are Cas, or CRISPR-associated proteins, which chop up DNA like molecular scissors.
Yes, it could be done by injecting modified CRISPR-Cas enzymes into the bloodstream. These modified particles can make handshake with DNA, in which the latter can be instructed to copy-paste, snipe and cut, and modify genes. See link below for the video. Then how do these modified CRISPR-Cas enzymes get their instructions for modification? I suspect that the new modulated 5G MIMO antennas, the MIMO beamforming technology, to play a role in down and uploading data from your bioelectric body. These high electromagnetized energy beams are focused directly on your 5G phone. But what if they could do much more than that? Let's focus on the heart storage field. We are all forced to maintain a social distancing of 1.5 meters from each other, the maximum radial range of our heart storage field. It's a disconnection from each other's storage field, which our immune systems and energetic fields are being separated from each other, essential tools for sensing and feeling. This distancing makes way for better pinpointing of this MIMO technology on a target, in which I think its beamforming can more easily penetrate and jam our heart storage field, and uploading data to CRISPR-Cas enzymes, able to target hundreds of targets simultaneously. Like a parasite way, it is a cloaky and a sneaky method to intrude and hijack a host system, and where a wide range of modifications can be made. Having the option to heal that what is defect, it probably would act like a vampire, making healthy genes defect from which it can energize itself, making the bioelectric body and our electromagnetic field acidic. The increasing toxicity will lead to chronic diseases, in both cases, with more cash flow for Big Pharma. Probably the most important will be the modification of our heart's torus field, redesigning it to alternate its electromagnetic energizing structure. into a modification that can fully harmonize with the parasite's field. In order to execute an operation on planetary scale, you would need a really good cover-up. And this is why Corona has become so big. It's the bridge to cover up and install several mechanisms to set up a trap. So what is Corona and what is actually a virus? In Latin, Corona can mean radiation, and virus can be named poisoning. The corona is the outer sphere of the sun, a ring of fire, and where sun flares create large X-flares. Through massive discharges, the sun is a highly positive charge anode, which attracts negative charged particles through large Birkeland plasma currents in the electromagnetic universe. Let's listen to Dr. Thomas Cowan.
He said, well, viruses are simply excretions of a toxic cell. Viruses are pieces of DNA or RNA with a few other proteins. They bud out from the cell. They happen when the cell is poisoned. They are not the cause of anything, because that's what happened. And the cells get poisoned. They try to purify themselves by excreting debris, which we call viruses. If you go to the current theory of viruses called exosomes, and the latest head of the NIH giving a talk on the complexity of viruses, you will see this is perfectly in line with the current thinking on what a virus really is.
To understand more of this, we need to rewind time. Mid-19th century. Science was in a stalemate about the origins of viral infection. Under Louis Pasteur, science claimed that viral infection comes and gets ignited from outside a cell, through microorganisms. Within Antoine Béchamp, scientists state that viral infection comes from within the cell. To make a long story short, the parasite board of science, where many future boxed generations are being taught that viruses can be categorized within bacteria. Well, this is not the case. Viruses are excretions of a cell's DNA and its membrane. They don't have a digestive system like bacteria. DNA programs proteins with RNA software, which we call exosomes. These can maintain the bioelectric body in all sorts of cycles, including repairing cells and combat toxication. It's actually the cleaning or program process of an exosome, what we call virus. In case of the lungs and respiratory system, the body can program hundreds of exosomes and its viral detox processes simultaneously to combat toxication. So what is going on at the moment?
But when you think about it, with these radio waves and other frequencies that some of you have in your pocket and on your wrist, you can send a signal to Japan and it arrives instantaneously. So any of you who don't believe there is an electromagnetic field that communicates globally within seconds just is not paying attention to this. And I will only finish by pointing out that there has been a dramatic and quantum leap in the last 6 months with the electrification of the Earth. And I'm sure a lot of you know what that is. It's called 5G, where they now have 20,000 radiation-emitting satellites, just like the radiation-emitting thing in your pocket and on your wrist and that you use all the time. That is not compatible with health. I'm sorry to say it, it's not compatible with health. That is a water destructuring device. And for any of you who say, yeah, well, we're not electrical beings, we're just physical matter, then don't bother doing an EKG or an EEG or a nerve conduction test, because we are electrical beings and the chemicals are only the byproduct of those electrical impulses.
We live in one of the most toxic eras of human history, as we know. Our environment is highly toxicated through contaminated soil, air, water, and food particles. Our electromagnetic field is bombarded with many new modulated frequencies, and the average voltage in charged particles has increased enormous. Remember, a parasite tries and optimizes its comfort zone within an acidic environment.
So what happened in 1918? There was a huge, in every pandemic in the last 150 years, there was a quantum leap in the electrification of the Earth. In 1918, late fall of 1917, there was the introduction of radio waves around the world. Whenever you expose any biological system to a new electromagnetic field, you poison it, you kill some, and the rest go into a kind of suspended animation so that, interestingly, they live a little bit longer and sicker. And then starts in World War II with the next pandemic with the introduction of radar equipment all over the Earth, blanketing the entire Earth in radar fields. First time humans have ever been exposed to that. In 1968, there was the Hong Kong flu, and it was the first time the Earth has a protective layer in the Van Allen belt, which essentially integrates the cosmic fields from the sun and the Earth, from the moon and Jupiter, etc., integrates that and essentially distributes that to the living beings of the Earth. And we put satellites emitting radioactive frequencies in the Van Allen belt. Within 6 months, we had a new viral pandemic. Why viral? Because the people are poisoned, they excrete toxins, they look like viruses. People think it's a flu epidemic. In the 1918 epidemic, the Boston Health Department decided to investigate the contagiousness of this. So they, believe it or not, took hundreds of people with the flu and they sucked the snot out of their nose and injected it into the healthy people who didn't have the flu, and not one time could they make the next person sick. They did this over and over again, and they were not able to demonstrate contagion. They even did it with horses who apparently got the Spanish flu, and they put bags over their head and the horses sneezed in the bag, and they put the bag over the next horse, and not one horse got sick.
So when large-scale or even planetary changes, made by nature or artificially by man, manifest within our Earth's electromagnetic field, all bioelectric systems, including humans, animals and plants, get exposed to increased levels of toxicity through highly charged particles in conductors like air and water. When searching for articles, it's notable and interesting to see all the notifications on these topics. Corona is the electric field within high voltage conductors. It can ignite a corona discharge on cellular level when highly charged particles are being inhaled into our lungs. Our body and lung cells run at much lower voltage, an average of -25 millivolts to operate. So when these highly charged currents of air come in contact with negative charge lung fluids and cells, this can ignite corona discharges on cellular level, increasing acidic levels in the alveoli. Having new frequenced and modulated electromagnetic fields, causing another shockwave of pollution within the Earth's electromagnetic field, these new charged and modulated frequencies will also cause a shock process in our cells. Through the cellular discharges, toxic waste is created which interacts with pollution in the alveoli, will ignite exosomes to process the detox. This depends on the amount of toxic waste in your lung cells and the immune system's capacity to handle the toxication. Inflammation and toxic waste are causing the lack of intake of electrons and oxygen. This can lead to acute respiratory distress syndrome. The current precautions taken, like wearing masks, is only increasing toxicity within our lungs, while it is limiting the intake of fresh oxygen, and so electrons. Cleaning and detox processes are actually a standard process within the 24-hour cycle of the bioelectric body. Support through grounding, which we call earthing, your bioelectric body is an essential mechanism to have your electric wiring system, the meridians, work optimal. Good grounding will enable better filtering of pollution in the alveoli and makes your lungs strong as your meridians having better access to negative discharging through the earth. Like DNA, its RNA components, including exosomes, are being upgraded per cycle of 24 hours. As toxic waste will be harder to clean, so will exosomes evolve to adapt to detoxification. This can be called a mutation. So Antoine Beauchamp was right after all. All bioelectric organisms interact on electromagnetic pulses and changes in its field and environment. In our world, terrain theory should be implied. As our DNA is programming its own RNA exosomes, any other DNA or RNA particle will not be accepted by its system. Therefore, viruses are not contagion and can only apply for your own bioelectric system. To prove contagion, our DNA would have to be the same. Then how can several people within a group of people get sick and others not? Within electromagnetic pulses, through a hard torus field, the immune system contacts other torus fields, in which humans interact energetically. So if someone is undergoing a viral infection, other immune systems can detect this process and scan its own system if a viral detoxification or upgrade is needed. If your body is working optimal, it will not undergo a viral detoxification. Like the Saturn polar configuration, and where its assault upon our crater got initiated through massive planetary plasma discharge, the parasite literally discharges us from our world, physically and mentally, while introducing its own radioactive and acidic frequencies to energize its own electromagnetic field. It can be initiating our own exodus from this world. Will humanity get drained, modified and alienated from Mother Earth and allow the parasite to modify us into a rechargeable battery? Or will we retake our rights and realign with our Creator Earth to harmonize and return the balance? I thank you for watching and protect the heart.
In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows. At the face lies the snake, and the sun in my disgrace. Boiling heat, summer stench, neath the black the sky looks still. Call my name through the cream, and I'll hear you scream again. Black hole sun, won't you come? Wash away the rain. Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come? Stuttering, calling down, steal the warm wind, tired friends. Times are gone for honest men, sometimes far too long for snakes. In my shoes, walking sleep, in my youth I prayed to keep heaven sent hell away. No one sings like you anymore. Black hole sun, won't you come? Wash away the rain. Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come? Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come? Black hole sun, black hole sun, won't you come? Black hole sun, black hole sun, won't you come? Black hole sun, black hole sun, won't you come? my fear till you all just disappear. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come? Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come? Black hole sun, won't you